as we hop into game one of this best of three. PVZ spawning in the lower left-hand corner of Alcyone. We have Onside Gaming Solar, the current reigning GSL champion. His opponent in the upper right. Gonna have an uphill battle here. For Metrino Esports, it is Nightmare. Certainly a strong Protoss, but I don't know, man. Up against Solar? Whew. Nightmare just cast him yesterday playing against Christianer, and Christianer gave him the old 3-0 in that best of 5. It is PvP, obviously a very different matchup, but I don't know. I don't know if that bodes well for Nightmare. Or maybe that made him salty. Maybe he got mad. Like, I can't believe it. Now he's gonna play with the extra juice. Solar, I have a feeling we're gonna see some very standard play out of Solar. He's got some cheeky builds up his sleeves for sure. Solar knows how to throw a build order out there or two. Maybe a cheese if he needs to, but I have a feeling in this match he's gonna be playing pretty standard. Nightmare is gonna be the one who's gonna have to do something about it. Sorry, getting distracted by messages here. I can't read and speak at the same time. It's a skill. It's a skill you have to learn, and I have not learned it. You know what I always I'm like afraid of if I was gonna do a live event is I know in a lot of the live events they'll have like the producer in the headphones, in the headset that not often the casters, but usually like the desk hosts are wearing. The producers will be able to speak to them. And you have to like keep a conversation going about StarCraft while somebody in your ear is talking to you about production, which sounds so hard. Like, major props to the desk hosts and Caleris and Nathanius and everybody who does that kind of production work where somebody's talking in your ear while you're trying to host a show. Because I can't even, like, do those things normally. I struggle keeping my train of thought when nobody's talking. I'll just interrupt myself with my with more thoughts. If somebody started talking to me, I'd, like, say a bunch of nonsense words and go silent. It is a pretty normal opening here out of Nightmare. He's got the Void Ray, which could lead to weird things. Sometimes the Void Ray indicates a cheesy follow-up because it really stops scouting from happening. And, well, I don't know if this is what you consider cheese. Straight to Fleet Beacon as that third base goes down. You know, that might be considered cheese. I like this choice, though. I feel like I've seen SkyToss do quite well against the top Zergs lately. Which is, I don't know, I feel like that hasn't always been the case. But for some reason, right now, SkyToss is feeling pretty good. Maybe because we saw so much ground play for so long at the top level that it's like, sometimes it comes back around, you know? Forge going down as well, so Nightmare is going to go for the full cannon, shield battery, defense into, oh, Tempests. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. This is now much more interesting. So Tempest, this is a much more technical play. Yeah, we're going to see the Tectonic Destabilizer start up as well here for Nightmare. So, Tempests. Tectonic Destabilizers means that Tempest will do bonus damage to buildings. So any Spore Crawlers that come up, maybe they could go for a hatchery. Worst comes to worst, they can pick off like an extractor or something. But I think it takes 5 Tempests to one-shot a Queen. That might be the number we're looking for here for Nightmare. 4 or 5 running across the map. Solar is looking for a scout. He doesn't know what he's up against yet. And that's always a scary place to be, right? You don't want to be up against something you're not sure of. Right now, he's just getting Roach Speed, Evo Chamber. He is going to drop a Spire, and this is crucial. This is an excellent move from Nightmare. And I think this is Nightmare scouting over and over and over again and seeing the same exact set of 4 units here defending. No other units warping in. There's no robo units coming down. There's nothing. There's no tech at all. Which means Nightmare is hiding his tech, which pretty much guarantees it's going to be air. So I love the Spire play here from Solar. And if there's one thing that just kind of dumpsters a group of Tempests, it's a big group of Corruptors. But the Tempests are coming across the map now. More Queens on the way out. Solar may be preparing to lose the Queens he has. The problem here for Nightmare is he hasn't been harassing basically at all. So Solar's chilling at 77 workers. And while some Queens might end up going down, I mean, the Spire's about to finish. And these Tempests have so far done, I'm going to go ahead and say nothing. Now the 5th one is here, which means 1 shots can happen on the Queens now. I think 2 shots of Spore Crawler as well. Nightmare hanging out a little too close. Transfuse keeping that alive for a little bit longer. 11 Corruptors on the way. Nightmare is starting to gun down these Queens. The base is staying alive. And I think Solar is going to be able to last in the defense until these Corruptors come out. And the moment Nightmare sees those, he's got to back up. In fact, I think he's got a recall. Oh my god, but he misses the recall on one of the Tempests. That is painful. That's an extra Tempest going down. One of them died and would have died anyways, but that second one did not need to die. Nightmare's trying to pump out some Void Rays to defend against the Tempest, just running across the map and winning the game. But, I mean, this is a great spot for Solar. He just took basically no damage. I mean, sure, he lost some stuff, right? Some Queens and a Spore Crawler. But basically no damage on a better economy. And now he's going to be able to take a 5th base. He's trying to poke across the map. He does have to be careful here. With the Archon on the ground, a bunch of Void Rays could prismatically align and cause some real issues for these Corruptors. They're just trying to find a way in and maybe pick off another Tempest. But with all these Void Rays coming out, I think what we're going to need to see Solar do is get into some Spellcasters. Parasitic Bomb, especially if you're able to combine it with a Fungal, is so massive on the Void Rays. They clump so brutally. They do not have a ton of hit points. They only have 250 total hit points. So a Fungal Parasitic Bomb combo, a huge chunk of their health. The carrier is going to dive in. One of them goes down for really nothing here. Just kind of scouting the base. See what's going on. I'm really surprised we're not seeing any Spellcasters out of Solar. In fact, he's still just on a lair. And it looks like he's just going to try to put this pressure on and go for the kill, but I don't like this move from Solar. Nightmare's almost maxed, and his army has a big vulnerability, and Solar rather, is not going to take advantage of it at all. Just pressing forward with the Roaches here. The Super Shield Battery really helping to keep these units alive. Archon's pushing away the Corruptors. The Queens are super late to the party and have no creep to stand on. And that means they can't transfuse, and they are way too slow. They're all going to die. Solar just lost a lot. And, I mean, that was a terrible trade. It's getting worse. Oh my god, 13 drones going down to a handful of Zealots getting into the natural. Solar Solar! Drone's getting into this space as well. Oh no, dude, he is falling apart right now. And Nightmare's in here killing this base. And his ground army is looking terrifying. I mean, it's just Zealots and Archons, but against pure Roach, it's actually not bad at all. I think Nightmare's about to win this game, and I think Solar has to be kicking himself. I mean, he's not dead yet, but we got more Zealots getting in here. 2 bases just went down. The Archon's body blocking for these Void Rays. I will say, Nightmare is not currently producing any more Stargate units. So it's just going to be a ground army from here on out for Nightmare. He's going to go for a recall on the Void Rays. Nightmare, keep pulling these units back. But he's got Storm on the way, Blink on the way. He's trying to get into a decent ground army. I mean, Storm here would be so huge. Roaches don't take a ton of damage to Storm, but it would still be massive. It's not quite done yet, though. But with cannons and shield batteries defensively, I feel like Nightmare's just going to have enough to hold on to this. The Void Rays going to prismatically align and really push the Roaches and Corruptors backwards. Storm is done, and there's a juicy Storm, and Solar cannot hang around anymore. The problem here for Solar is he lost both of these bases. He's only now retaking his 4th. It's not done yet. He's down in workers. He's down in bases. And Nightmare's army is about to have +2 on the ground. He's got Storm. He's got a ton of Blink Stalkers and some Archons. I mean, this is a very good army from Nightmare. The Void Rays helping as well. And yeah, the Corruptors can beat the Void Rays, but that's all these Corruptors can really do. And they are getting stormed right now. They're getting absolutely demolished in the sky. Look how low they all are. Looks like there might not be any storms left. Oh no, one more storm gonna finish them off. And yeah, Solar forced to tap out. Solar tried to brick wall his way through Nightmare. And Nightmare was fully ready for it. Honestly, Nightmare had so much stuff. I don't think Solar was expecting Nightmare to have the ground army already building up when he attacked. A bunch of charge lots. He had Archons, plus the cannons and shield batteries there, just helping out. But I think the Archons was the real trick, because it also pushed the Corruptors away from the air army. I really don't think Solar was expecting Nightmare to have that much. What? We tried to start it with me in the player spot. There we go. Took some micro to get back into it. All right, we're good. Yeah, I mean, it was a solid build from Nightmare. It was a solid build from Nightmare, but I think Solar just he had a specific response to what he thought Nightmare was doing, and it wasn't what Nightmare was actually doing, and it turned out to be a complete build order loss for our Zerg player, who's now spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Oceanborn in Game 2. For Onside Gaming, it is Solar. We almost just started this game with me versus Solar, which would have been hilarious, and would not have gone quite like that last game, where the Protoss won his opponent in the lower right-hand corner. For Matcherino Esports, it is Nightmare. Taking Game 1 off of the GSL Champion. Let's go, Nightmare. I really think Solar was expecting, honestly, maybe even a carrier follow-up from Nightmare. And, you know, carriers take a really long time to build. Just in general. They take a long time to build, then you have to wait for all the interceptors to come out. They're very slow. So even once they pop out, they still have to, like, get to the rest of your army, or they can lag behind other parts of the army, particularly Void Rays. So if you're getting into carriers, it can be a really dicey situation where, yeah, if Solar hits with a maxed army against Nightmare at like 165 supply trying to get carriers out, Nightmare might just not have enough to hold on. But in that last game, Nightmare went for charge lots and Archons, and those build a lot quicker. That transition was beautifully smooth from Nightmare. From the air army with the Tempests, the Void Rays to hold down against the immediate Corruptors, and then straight into the charge lot Archon. And it held Solar's push so well that Nightmare was able to counter push and do all of that damage. But it really comes back to the decision from Solar to not tech up beyond that, right? We saw when he attacked, he was on lair tech. He could have taken a base, gone to Hive, maybe pressured, but he committed fully to the attack. He brought the queens with it, and he ended up just losing way too much, being super aggressive, hyper aggressive. And Nightmare on the counterattack, getting a ton of damage done, and then again transitioning beautifully into Storm and Blink, so that when Solar did his, shove back across the map with whatever he had left, the Roaches and the Corruptors, I mean, Storm and Blink just kind of dominated him. He just didn't have the technicality in his army to deal with it. It was a really interesting game in terms of the fact that the strategy is what won there. It was a strategy hard counter, but not like a build order opening hard counter. A lot of times when there's a strategic hard counter in a game of StarCraft, it's like in the first couple of minutes. But that was Solar making a very specific decision for a very specific situation. And honestly, maybe it was Nightmare trying to convince him it was that situation, right? Maybe Nightmare was trying to be kind of tricky with the Charge Lot Archon transition so that Solar would come across the map and be surprised by it, right? Maybe he knew Solar's response to that. I'm sure these guys play against each other often enough where Nightmare might be like, oh, you know what I bet would crush that Roach Queen Corruptor push that he likes to do when I do this build? What if I just hot swap to Zealots right at this point? It's a little hard to say if that was the game plan or if Solar just misread it, but always good to give credit to the winning player too. And Nightmare did open with another Void Ray opener here, which is going to go ahead and supply block Solar. The Adepts decide against shading in, but Nightmare is going into the Twilight Council after this. It looks like it could be either Blink or Charge, depending on where Nightmare wants to go with it. I feel like I have been seeing more Blink again. I think Blink is a bit of a more fun style. Usually Charge ends up being kind of passive, whereas Blink, you do have to be kind of active with the Blink Stalkers. Blink Stalkers are some of the best value units you can have if you have the micro for it. They can get just such excellent value, but you need to go take trades with them. You need to trade out the Zerg's units for nothing, essentially. Force them to keep building units, maybe slow the creep spread. It's a very important part of the Blink Stalker build, whereas Zealots are just kind of good units, so you can just get charge and chill and get the rest of your tech up. Nightmare's third base up and running. Blink and +1 are on the way. And this is looking pretty nice. This is what you want to see. I like this little pressure as well. Just getting some kills. Delaying this creep. All these creep doomers went down. There's some queens putting those down earlier. All gone. And Solar is like, you know what? I should have built a hive last game. What if I just build a hive at like 6.5 minutes this time? What if I just do that? Like, all right, fair enough. Apparently recently, Mio Micah had a 4-minute Infestation Pit to get some Infestors out against the Terran 4-Rax. What a build that must have been. But this is a build here as well. Nightmare proxying a gateway. He is going to have quite a few gates coming up here. That's a 7 and 8. 8 gates of Blink Stalkers coming at Solar right now. Solar trying to get just some units out to defend, and I was talking about a Hive, but he is going to go for an Infestor. I don't know if Solar realized exactly what he is up against. Oh, the Stasis Trap here could be big. Solar needs to be very careful against that. The Void Ray coming in to try to help out as well. Great target fire from Nightmare. Focusing on the Roaches with the Void Ray that does extra to the armored units. And that way the Stalkers can take better fights against the Queens. Nightmare's starting to feel like he's pushing through. The Void Ray goes down, but the Void Ray is not the most important thing here. However, I don't think Nightmare knows about this Infestor. Can the Infestor get a fungal? Oh, the Blink. Nightmare. That was a sick dodge on that fungal. A couple of Stalkers do get caught, but he's continuing this pressure. The Stasis Ward is still here to fall back to. Nightmare trying to push up this ramp. He doesn't have high ground vision, I believe. So that's a bit of a dicey proposition, but he's got more Stalkers showing up. Solar supply is plummeting. And oh my god, the upset of the day is Nightmare taking the 2-0 victory over Solar. The GSL champion Solar getting knocked out by Nightmare. StarCraft, baby. That's StarCraft, baby. You'll love to see it.